They called it divine service. But what happened behind those sacred walls would haunt human memory for millennia. Ancient Egypt, land of gods, gold and glory. To the world, it was a civilization of light, wisdom, and power. But beneath the surface of perfection, there was darkness, a darkness hidden in the temples, guarded by silence and sealed with fear. The year is 1500 BCE. The sun rises over the Nile, its golden reflection gliding across the water, touching the stones of Thebes. The city awakens, priests chanting hymns, merchants opening stalls, children chasing each other through the dusty streets. To an outsider, it is paradise. But for some, this day marks the end of innocence. In a small village near the river, a mother kneels by her daughter. The girl is only 12. Her face is still soft, her eyes bright, unaware of the weight the world is about to place on her. The mother combs her daughter's hair, her hands trembling. Outside, the sound of drums echoes closer. A procession is coming. The priests, they come once every year. Dressed in white linen, their heads shaved, their eyes lined with kohl, they walk through villages in silence. People step aside, bowing as they pass. Children hide behind their mothers, because everyone knows what this means. The selection. They say it is an honor, that the gods themselves choose who will serve them in the temples. Only the purest, the most innocent. Virgins between 10 and 14 years old, chosen for holiness. But those who have seen their daughters taken never celebrate again. The priests stop before the small house. One of them looks at the girl. She lowers her gaze as she's been taught. The priest studies her quietly, then nods. He declares, "She has been blessed. The gods have chosen her." The crowd murmurs in awe. The mother's tears fall, part sorrow, part pride. The father bows to the ground, whispering thanks to the gods. The girl stands frozen, clutching her mother's hand, confused. Everyone calls it a blessing. Yet inside, she feels an ache she can't explain. The next morning, she dresses in a white robe. Her mother braids her hair one last time. Her father places a small charm in her hand, a talisman shaped like the Eye of Horus. "This will protect you," he says. But his voice breaks before he finishes. Outside, the entire village gathers. There are cheers, songs, gifts, but the girl feels heavy, as if walking toward something she cannot escape. She glances back one last time. Her mother stands at the doorway, hands trembling, eyes hollow. The girl smiles weakly, but the mother does not smile back. She knows what awaits inside the walls of Thebes. The journey is long. 3 days across endless desert roads. The priests travel in the front. The girls are carried in wooden wagons, 7 of them, all young, all silent. They do not speak, but their eyes meet in fear. At night, the priests camp near the river. They eat lavishly roasted meat, fruits, wine. The girls sit apart, given only bread and water. Sometimes the priests speak softly among themselves. Their laughter floats across the dark like a whisper of something unholy. The girl stares at the stars, clutching the charm her father gave her. She wonders if the gods are truly watching. On the 3rd morning, the great city of Thebes rises before them. Massive walls of sandstone shimmer in the sun. Obelisks pierce the sky. Statues of gods and pharaohs watch over the temple entrance. To the girl, it looks like heaven, until she notices the carvings on the walls. Figures of women kneeling, priests standing over them, eyes downcast, faces lifeless. The girl's breath catches. This does not look like worship. It looks like submission. Inside, the air smells of incense and myrrh. The priests lead the girls through narrow corridors lined with hieroglyphs. Every wall tells stories of gods, of victory, of sacrifice. But the stories feel wrong. The gods in these carvings do not bless. They devour. A high priest appears, his body draped in gold and linen. His head is shaved, his eyes painted black. He moves slowly, deliberately, his presence commanding. He speaks with a calm, soft voice, the kind that demands obedience. "You are blessed," he says. "You have been chosen to serve the gods. Your life now belongs to them. Ta-da! The girls bowed their heads. None speak. What follows are 7 days of purification. The priests call it sacred cleansing. But for the girls, it feels like a slow unraveling of the soul. On the first day, their old clothes are taken away. They are stripped of their names, their identities, their past. They are told they are now the daughters of Ammon. Speak of their families is forbidden. On the second day, their bodies are shaved clean, every strand of hair removed. The razors are dull, the skin burns. When blood appears, the priests smile. Pain cleanses, one says. It is the price of holiness. On the third day, their bodies are anointed with oils, scented with lotus and cinnamon. The fragrance fills the room, but the girls feel suffocated. The hands that touch them, every mistake brings punishment. The whip does not break skin, it breaks will. By the 5th day, hunger and exhaustion have replaced thought. They are fed only herbs soaked in bitter water. The girl's hands tremble when she lifts the cup. She drinks, her lips stinging, her stomach twisting. The priestess says, the body must be emptied of desire. Only then can the divine enter. On the 6th day, each girl is assigned a mentor, a priest, who will guide her to the light. The girl's guide is a man named Menakotep. He speaks softly, smiles often. He gives her food, bread, figs, dates. She eats gratefully, unaware that kindness can be a weapon. That night, Menakotep sits beside her. You must trust me, he says. I am your protector. The gods watch through me. If you obey, you will find peace. His words sound like comfort, but beneath them lies control. The 7th day arrives. The air is thick with incense, the halls alive with chanting. The temple glows with hundreds of oil lamps. The girls are dressed in golden robes. Their faces are painted, red lips, dark eyes, glittering necklaces around fragile necks. They are led into a grand chamber one by one. The high priest waits at the altar. He raises his hands to the sky. The gods accept their brides, he declares. The crowd of priests chant in unison. The sound is deafening. When it is her turn, the girl steps forward. The marble floor is cold beneath her bare feet. She kneels. The high priest places his hands on her head. His voice trembles as he speaks. You are now the wife of the god. For a moment, she believes it. She feels chosen, holy. But when the ceremony ends and the lamps are extinguished, she learns the truth. The god she was promised to never comes. Only Menakotep does. That night, the temple of worship becomes a place of silence and sobbing. Days turn into weeks. The rituals repeat offerings, chants, obedience. The priests call it service. The girls call it survival. Each day, the line between faith and fear blurs a little more. Outside, the world praises the temples for their devotion. No one knows what happens inside, or maybe they do and choose not to see. The girl changes. She no longer cries. She learns to smile when told to kneel before she's ordered. Her eyes lose their light. Inside, she feels nothing, only emptiness. One evening, while cleaning the altar, she finds a faint carving hidden behind a curtain. It's not like the others. It shows a woman kneeling before a god, but her face is turned away, as if refusing to look. Below it, the words, "Even silence can be a scream." She stares at it for a long time. Something inside her stirs. But the moment passes. The temple drums echo again. Another ceremony begins, because even the gods cannot silence what was done in their name. Years pass. The little girl who once trembled before the temple gates is now a woman of 17. The world outside has changed. Kings have died. Wars have been fought. But inside these stone walls, time stands still. She moves through the temple corridors like a shadow. Her steps are silent, her face calm, her eyes unreadable. To the priests, she is the perfect servant, disciplined, obedient, loyal. They call her the favored one. But inside, she feels nothing. The fire of fear has burned out, leaving only ash. Each morning begins with the same ritual. The high priest stands before the altar of Amun-Ra, his voice echoing against the marble walls. The girls kneel behind him, their foreheads touching the floor. The scent of incense fills the air heavy, suffocating. The chants rise and fall like the tide. To outsiders, it is worship. To those within, it is submission disguised as faith. The young woman recites the prayers without meaning. She knows the words by heart, but they no longer reach her soul. Each phrase feels hollow, like a song sung to a god that never listened. At night, the priests walk the corridors with torches. Their footsteps fade into the distance. The girls sleep in narrow stone chambers, their dreams haunted by what they cannot say aloud. Sometimes she wakes to the sound of someone crying, sometimes to silence that feels heavier than any sound. The years have taught her many lessons, the first being that resistance is death. The second, that obedience can be its own kind of death. She has seen girls disappear. Some are said to have been sent to other temples, others to have ascended to the gods. But she knows what that means. The Nile has swallowed more secrets than any priest will ever confess. One evening, during the Feast of Renewal, the temple fills with nobles, soldiers, and scholars. Offerings flow in gold, jewels, animals, even human slaves. The pharaoh himself sends his blessings. The high priest declares that the gods are pleased. The people cheer. But behind the curtains, away from the celebration, the truth unfolds. The feast is not only for the gods, it is for those who claim to serve them. The girls are paraded like divine ornaments. They smile, they dance, they obey, because they must. She stands among them, her eyes fixed on the ground. Her heart beats slowly, like a drum fading in the distance. A hand touches her shoulder, the high priest himself. He leans close and whispers, "You have been chosen again." The words are soft, but they strike like a blade. That night, beneath the towering columns of the temple, she kneels once more. The same prayers, the same promises, the same silence. But something inside her has changed. When the ceremony ends, she looks up at the statue of Amun-Ra, the god who is said to see all things. His eyes are carved from black stone, lifeless and cold. For the first time, she feels no fear, it's only pity. Pity for the god who needed lies to survive. That feeling, small, dangerous, becomes the beginning of her rebellion. She starts to notice the cracks in the temple. Not the ones on the walls, but in the people. The younger priests whisper among themselves, questioning old traditions. The elder priestess coughs blood but insists it is a blessing. The high priest grows paranoid, accusing servants of blasphemy. The system that seemed eternal now trembles under its own weight. One day, while cleaning the archives, she finds a scroll hidden behind a broken jar. It is written in faded ink, a record of temple rituals. At first, it seems ordinary, but as she reads, she finds a passage describing the sacrifice of purity. The words are clinical, cold. It lists the number of girls offered each year, the blessings received, the omens observed. And at the end, a note written in the margin. The gods remain silent. Yet the offerings continue. She reads it again and again. The realization burns through her like fire. Even the priests who wrote these words knew the truth. The gods never answered. That night, she hides the scroll beneath her bedding. It becomes her secret, her proof that the suffering was not divine but human. Months later, an epidemic strikes Thebes. The Nile floods, crops fail, and disease spreads through the city. People blame the gods. The high priest blames the impure. The ceremonies grow more desperate. More sacrifices, more pain. The temple becomes a fortress of madness. One stormy night, she is summoned to the high altar. The priests kneel in prayer, pleading for mercy. Lightning flashes through the temple windows, illuminating faces twisted in fear. The high priest raises his hands and declares, "The gods demand greater sacrifice. Purity must be restored." His eyes fall upon her. She knows what that means. But this time, she does not kneel. She stands. The room freezes. The thunder outside drowns the silence. For the first time, she speaks. Her voice is soft, almost calm. "The gods you fear are dead. They were never here. The high priest stares at her, unable to move. The other priests recoil, whispering of curses and blasphemy. She steps forward, holding the hidden scroll. You wrote their words. You saw their silence. Yet you kept the lie alive. In that moment, the illusion breaks. The temple, once the heart of faith, becomes a place of panic. Some priests flee. Others call for her death. But the storm outside grows louder, shaking the walls. Lightning strikes the roof, and a part of the ceiling collapses. When dawn comes, the temple lies in ruins. The Nile has risen, flooding the courtyard. The bodies of priests float among broken statues. Of the girls, only a few survive. Among them, the young woman. She walks to the edge of the water, the charm her father gave her still hanging from her neck. For the first time in years, she feels the wind on her face, free, untamed. She whispers to herself, even silence can be a scream. History records none of this. The priests rewrite the story. They say the temple fell to the wrath of the gods, not to the truth of a girl. Her name is erased, her existence forgotten. For centuries, the sands of Egypt cover the ruins. The world moves on. Kingdoms rise and fall. The gods of Thebes fade into myth. Then, 3,000 years later, archaeologists begin to dig. At first, they find only fragments, a column, a broken statue, pieces of painted walls. But deep beneath the temple floor, they uncover something strange, a sealed chamber untouched by time. Inside lie 7 stone coffins, each one small, each one bearing the mark of Amun-Ra. The inscriptions are not prayers. They are pleas. Words scratched by weak hands, forgive us. We were deceived. The gods were silent. In the corner of the chamber, they find a single bronze charm, the Eye of Horus, the same kind a father once gave his daughter. The discovery shocks the world. Scholars argue over its meaning. Some call it a burial site for temple servants. Others say it was a hidden sanctuary. But one inscription carved faintly on the wall silences the debate. It reads, "They called us the brides of God, but we were the daughters of men." The words are simple, but they change everything. For the first time, history glimpses the truth behind the perfection of ancient Egypt, that its glory was built not only on devotion and art, but also on silence and suffering. Museums display the artifacts, tourists visit the ruins, and guides speak of the mysterious temple that vanished beneath the Nile. But the real story remains in whispers. It's told only by those who dare to look beyond the gold and grandeur. And somewhere, in the echo of those ancient walls, her voice still lingers. Not loud, not angry, just steady. It's like a heartbeat that refuses to die. She is every girl who was told obedience was holiness. Every voice that was silenced in the name of faith. Every truth buried under stone. The sands may cover her name, but not her story. Because some histories are too dark to be forgotten, and some gods were never gods at all.